Jaune and Magnus were in agony as they were all embraced by Vulcan. RWBY. I remember this feeling.
Corvus. Sigh.
Line. Vulcan, stop. Vulcan. Come now, Brutus, should HUG. Rogel entered the throne room and saw the commotion but was trying to sneak out but wasn't successful.
Vulcan. Rogel.
You shouldn't be left out. Rogel. No, I am fine. I do not need a hug. Vulcan just embraces him and lifts him up despite wearing Centurion add-on armor. Weiss, this is so weird. Pyrrha was helping Jaune up, who was holding his back. RWBY and Yang helped Magnus out. Magnus. Thanks, girls, my spine still feels its previous damage. Kitten. Mand-L. Jaune covers his faceplate. Jaune. Do not mention his name. Kitten. I forgot that name is taboo like the other one. Robot and Lion got back up. The Space Marines were curious at the mortals with their father. Dante. Forgive me, father, but... Jaune. As I lived as a mortal. They're my partners. Dante. Is the same can be said for that man? Jaune looked to see Ashvin and Glinda to be caught alongside them in the teleportation. Jaune. Father. Emps. Don't worry, son. I brought them along to be part of the plan. Magnus. And what is this grand master plan? Emps. Remnant is the center of the Eastern Fringe. Having them branch out and set all nearby planets and sectors will reinforce our borders and add more territory, resources, and potential recruits. Ashvin. Excuse me, sir. Emps. The Emperor would suffice. Big E is for my lady friends, and Emps is for my family members. Magnus. You don't have lady friends. He was then hit with a sandwich. Magnus. Okay. I may have crossed the line. Corvus. Yeah, you sure did. Magnus. Shut it, you buzzard.
Jaune.
No in fighting now, especially that we are all together after 10,000 years. Emps. 20,000 for you, my boy, since you lived twice. Magnus. Immortally, I might add. Jaune. It was a freaking curse. Who wants to live forever? Dorn. Chaos. Kitten. Necrons? Magnus. Tau. Kitten. We do not speak of them. They are irrelevant. Carstodes. But hurt much? Custodes. I would be willing to give you relationship advice, present company included, as he wormed in between Magnus and Jaune. Emps. I summon Prohibition Hammer. Custodes. It's not incest if we don't share the same gene seed.
Smash.
Glinda. I am getting a headache simply from hearing this conversation. Emps. Here, take some of this. He levitates a bottle for her. Imperial migraine medicine. Glinda. Thank you. Ashvin. What is our part to play in this? Emps. I am planning on making Remnant into a hive world and turn the planets within the system into fortress worlds, forge worlds, armory worlds, knight and sentinel worlds, and others I see fit to expand and strengthen the Imperium's grip within the sector. Glinda. That is a big plan. Magnus. So we're repopulating and repurposing the Eastern Fringe? Emps. Correct. And I am naming my fabulous Hawk Boy, as it's the Lord Commander of the sector. Jaune. Father. I. Emps. You managed with this so-called Imperium Secundus with Papa Smuff's help. I believe you can manage with me and the rest of your brothers here. Jaune knelt before him, and no one will ever know the Emperor smiled at the son who didn't attack, insult, challenge, or ignored him when they reunited during the Great Crusade. He summoned the Emperor's sword in order to return it. Lion. He had that. Emps. One of my blessings, and no son. I currently have no use of it. Jaune. But it's yours. Emps. And it's mine to give, and it's yours. Emps. I will educate and instruct you to how to properly unclusterfuck your mistakes and name you Ashvin the Lord General to be the leader of Remnant's planetary defense force. Ashvin begins to glow until he was changed into his new uniform. Glinda also glowed as she changed herself. Emps. You, Glinda Goodwitch, will be Remnant's top enforcer as the Lord Commissar, head of the Imperial Guard. I grant you control of the Armageddon Steel Legion alongside the Krieg Guardsmen. The rest of the Remnant crew remained quiet since it appeared to be serious business. Young, so that huge skeleton sitting on that golden seat is your father? Jaune. Yes, indeed. Forgive her father the people. Emps. I know, son. And besides, they'll be family soon. Magnus. Oh boy. Gilliman and Lion went. He stood up and introduced his partners. Emps. Ah, you still have your fine tastes. RWBY. Hello. Weiss curtsied, Blake bowed, and she made Young bow her head too. Pyrrha waved awkwardly. Rogel. Brother, what is the meaning of this? Emps, my little hawk boy has gotten massive game. Kitten. Oh boy. Lion, can they actually be? You know? Weiss took the initiative as she points at them in order. Weiss, Ruby Rose, Blake Belladonna, Young Xiaolong, Pyrrha Nikos, and Weiss Schnee. Emps. Hello, you can call me Emperor. Emps. Father or even Big E, but I reserve that for the ladies. Magnus. Yeah, right, father. He got hit by a bucket. Young. Man, this family sure is lively. Corvus. Tell me about it. RWBY. Your hair and beard reminds me of Uncle Crow. Young. More like brooding.
Corvus. Crow?
Does he like birds? And poems? And murder death birds? RWBY. He can transform into a real crow.
Corvus. Cool.
Then suddenly something extraordinarily happened. Another being was brought in the room.
Pyrrha. Wah.
Dante, the Sanguiner, Emps, the remaining portion of my little hawk boy's soul. The Sanguiner came face to face with Jaune as he slowly turned into motes of light and returns to him. The body on the Blood Angel's homeworld fades as its remains went towards the Imperium and to Jaune. Feeling empowered as his insides changed and his body becomes slightly more buff, he was allowed to live between the life of a mortal and a pre-march. He can still procreate without harming the girls as Emps wanted grandchildren to spend his time with. The Sanguiner was gone, and Sanguinius is reborn. Emps even gave Team RWBY, Pyrrha enhancements, and even Velvet and Coco in the form of golden feathers so Jaune can give it to them as they meet again. Emps. Oh, here's a little present. Jaune was given new armor to complement his change. Fashioned with trace, bits of the Emperor's armor from Crux Terminatus badges, and combined with the armor secrets of the Primarchs and Custodes. Jaune was now back as Jaune Sanguinius Arc. Emps. Now let's get this Imperium going again. Oh, before you go, I would like to tell you who are the ones responsible for the suffering of your sons. Kitten, is it the High Lords of Terra? Then a vein appears on Jaune's head as he closes his eyes and a psychic fist hits the four old men off their chairs. Emps, that's my boy. Magnus, don't tell me you're gonna shit out warp storms too? Jaune, go jack off in one of your books, Magnus. Magnus, that's Lorgar, damn it. The other Primarchs were holding some Snickers. Magnus just laughs alongside Jaune as they were all finally moving forward. The Emps orders Corvus and Vulcan to gather an expansion force and head towards Remnant's outer systems to get the sector set up. Jaune, Dante, I know you asked me for rest, but we're the sons of the Emperor. We cannot rest until everything is done. Dante lowers his head, but Jaune waked towards him and removed his helm. He puts a hand on top of his head as he floats to reach him. Jaune, I will take off a part of your burdens. He focused his aura and Dante glows and his once white hair turns into a shimmering blonde hue as his features and age appear to have been greatly reduced. Dante, the weariness is... Jaune, I revitalized you using all that I have learned. Use it to do the Emperor's will. Dante knelt before him. Dante, command me, Father. Jaune, secure our homeworld and strengthen the chapter. I will lead the Lamenters in my second home. Dante, I heard the Lamenters have suffered heavy casualties. Jaune, I have faced worse odds before, son. Secure our home first, and then come to the eastern fringe. Dante nods as he prepares to depart and notify the Blood Angels. The angel turns to his brothers.
Jaune. Goodbye, Rogal.
Rogel, farewell, Sanguinius.
Jaune. Lion.
Lion, Sanguinius. Jaune, no hugs please, but I will miss you, Vulcan. Vulcan, I will miss you too.
Jaune. Corvus.
Corvus, we'll see each other again. Jaune glares at Robot, but nods at him. Robot, may you find victory, brother. Jaune, and you too, brother. The Primarchs all nods as Emps prepare to send Jaune, Magnus, the girls, Ashbin and Glinda and Kitten along with the present Lamenters back to Remnant.